Okay, I'm live again. Just coming back on. I failed to react to this case here that's going on in Texas. It's a developing story, apparently, so I'm going to go right to it. So let's get rid of this here, and I'm going to go right here. It is 4:26 a.m. in the morning. It's 12/9/2023. So let's share this here. Apparently, there's an urgent manhunt for suspect after a 16-year-old cheerleader was found unalived. And this is coming from ABC News. This was done 17 hours ago. Lisbeth Medina's mother said she found her daughter's body Tuesday evening inside their apartment. So let's check this out.
Shatter after the mysterious murder of a 16-year-old girl, a cheerleader was found dead by her mother after she was missing from the town's Christmas parade. Stephanie Ramos here with the story. Good morning, Stephanie.
Hi there, George. Good morning. The mother of a 16-year-old high school cheerleader says she was the one who made the horrendous discovery of her daughter's murdered body in their apartment, and she's demanding answers.
This morning, it's a murder mystery that has a tight-knit Texas community on edge and searching for answers.
16-year-old female not conscious. Mother is the caller stating she is not conscious.
A manhunt is underway for a suspect authorities say killed 16-year-old high school cheerleader Lisbeth Medina in the small town of Edna outside of Houston.
My head is just spinning everywhere.
So let's go here. Let's see here. So here's Edna here. This is right outside of Houston. Apparently it's about, it's about an hour and a half away from Houston. So it's right down in here. All right, so let's go back to the video here. But I just wanted to give people bearings of where this is in Texas, because Texas is a fairly big state. All right, so let's go back to this here.
And I just want answers. I want justice.
Her mother, Jacqueline, speaking to our station, KTRK.
This is awful. This is just awful.
Saying she made the gruesome discovery Tuesday evening inside their apartment when she says she didn't see Lisbeth performing in the Christmas parade.
Nobody ever wants to see their child in the bathtub the way I found her.
No arrests have been made. Authorities are referring to the case as capital murder.
She was a kind heart. She would help anybody, even if she had to take the shirt off her back.
Overnight, Edna High School's football team honoring their fallen classmate who used to cheer them on, all wearing purple. Lisbeth's family exhausting their efforts to find answers.
You took an angel from me, and not only from me, from a lot of people who loved her. And he will pay. He'll pay.
The Texas Penal Code describes a capital murder as a murder committed in the course of another major crime and is punishable by the death penalty or life in prison. Guys, police are still actively searching for a suspect.
Heartbreaking story there.
Absolutely. Steph Ramos, thank you.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here.
All right, so let's see if we can get a little bit more detail of this. So this was done 17 hours ago. Let's go here. Present this here. So this is NBC News here. It was found in a bathtub. Mother finds 16-year-old daughter murdered in bathtub of Texas apartment. So there's a GoFundMe here. And this is the GoFundMe page here. Justice for Lisbeth Medina. So this is the fundraiser here. It's on GoFundMe. So 191 people have donated. On the evening of December 5th, my niece's life was tragically taken from us at the young age of 16. She was a student cheerleader at Edna High School. Let's see if I can find that. She was loved by many, but most importantly, she just loved and will be missed by the family. She was born and raised in Grand Island, Nebraska. Is that Nebraska? And had only been living in Elna, Texas for a year, so she wasn't there long. She was the only child to her mother, Jacqueline Medina. She also leaves behind two loving grandparents, Iya Medina, who she loved and considered them as parents. So this sucks. Let's go here. You know, with these cases, you wonder sometimes if it's involved with somebody else, another crime somewhere else. Let's go here. So here's the high school here. That's it. Three images. So that's the high school. All right, let's see if I can find more information here. We might go back to that in a minute. Okay, so this was done 12 hours ago, so it's
Top news story tonight, a murder that has rocked a small town in Jackson County.
A mother says that she found her 16-year-old daughter dead in their apartment. Here is a live look from Cy-Fair's FCU Stadium, where Edna High School has a playoff football game tonight. You see there her purple megaphone, her shoes, photos of her with the team. People are going to be wearing purple tonight to honor her, the murdered cheerleader, Lisbeth Medina. They're wearing purple, and the victim's mother told our Rosie Wynn that she would be going to the game. We spoke to the Edna residents about how this tragedy is affecting their town.
Everybody's coming together. Everybody was very shocked, but we're trying to be supportive of the family and, all the kids. You've got all the cheerleaders that were upset. Actually, my niece is the cheer coach, and just, everybody was just devastated.
ABC 13 reporter Rosie Wynn spoke to the victim's mother just this afternoon.
And Rosie has that now from Edna in Jackson County.
Absolutely heartbreaking details in the death of Lisbeth Medina, whose murder has shocked the community here in Edna. Her mother giving a very emotional interview, claiming to be the one who found her body Tuesday night. Tonight, police still not sharing details on exactly how Lisbeth died or who may be suspects in her case.
Someone hurt my child. Someone took my child from me.
A heartbreaking image Jacqueline Medina says she will never get out of her mind.
So let's see here. We have it's a small city in Jackson County with a population of less than 6,000.
She says her daughter Lisbeth never showed up to the Christmas parade with her high school cheerleading squad Tuesday night.
Words can't explain what I felt at that moment finding my daughter and the matter that she was.
Edna police say they received the call of an unresponsive person around 7 p.m. at the Cottonwood Apartments. First responders tried to save Lisbeth, but officials say she was pronounced dead at the scene.
I just want her to be remembered as the special little girl she was. Loving, kind, and big-hearted.
Investigators say they are handling this as a capital murder case with the help of the Texas Rangers and DPS.
All I can say is that I hope with all my heart that there is justice for my daughter.
And happening right now, friends, family, and community members honoring Lisbeth by wearing purple at the Edna football playoff game tonight in Cypress. Also happening Saturday, a vigil in her honor, happening at 6 p.m. Saturday at the Cowboy Stadium in Edna.
Hey, Charlotte, how are you? Good to see you. I just started covering this case here because I just seen it actually. Let me see if I can find some more. Hold on a second. Let me go here. Hope all is well, Charlotte. I haven't seen you for a while. Okay, so let's go back up here. I got the GoFundMe scrolling there. So mother finds 16-year-old murdered in the bathtub of a Texas apartment. She wanted to become a nurse. She was a cheerleader at the Elna High School in Texas. Police in Elna, Texas are investigating the murder of a 16-year-old cheerleader who was found dead by her mother in their home's bathtub earlier this week. So this was December 8th. This article was done December 8th. Lisbeth Medina was a cheerleader at Edna High School who had dreams of becoming a nurse. Raised by a single mother, she was close to her grandparents, aunts, and uncles. They said that whenever Elizabeth cheered for her high school football team, her face lit up with joy. Cottonwood Apartments. So let's go there. Okay, so we got we go here. It's all good. It's all good when you're in the chat. I appreciate you being here. Yeah, it's 4:41 right now over here in New England. Let me see if I can. I got too many windows open. Sorry, hold on a second. I want to go here. So this is where she lived. This is the apartment complex where they lived. This is a big place. This is in Edna, Texas. So this is the swimming pool. They were only here for a year because I think they moved from Nebraska. So yep, they're right here. Okay, so these are the apartments here. All right, so let's go back to 9:41 in Old England. Wow, so you're 5 hours ahead of us almost. So let's go here. I got too many windows open. Sorry. Stop screen. Like I said, in this case here, you wonder if this case is related to another case or other cases. Probably not, but so the dreams were cut short when her mother, Jacqueline Medina, came home to Cottonwood Apartments Tuesday around 7 p.m. and found her daughter unresponsive. She called 911 and police arrived to find Elizabeth Medina unalived, according to a news release by the police department. Elizabeth was getting ready to go to school. Elizabeth was getting ready to go to school at 7 p.m. She was still in her pajamas, said Anna Medina. We have no information right now about anything. We just want answers. So that's her right there. Beautiful girl. Investigators would not specify what led them to believe the cause of death was murder, stating that the investigation is ongoing. Police said they still have not identified a suspect responsible for Elizabeth's death, so it is definitely a homicide. They increased patrols in the area and are working to bring the perpetrator to justice. Elizabeth's family is asking about any information or security camera footage that could help the investigation go forward to police. Yes, I was right. It wasn't Nebraska. So she gave birth to Elizabeth when she was 16 and raised her in Grand. That sucks. Nebraska, said her aunt Anna. The mother-daughter moved to Edna last year when Jacqueline got a new job in renewable energy. community came together to support Lisbeth's family, sending cookies, T-shirts memorializing Lisbeth, and messages of support. This is usually where you find the perpetrator when they show up. Lisbeth was outgoing and confident, someone willing to take off her shirt to give it to somebody else. That sucks. It truly sucks. Okay, so let's go backwards here. And let's go here. This was done 14 hours ago. There's usually a commercial, so I apologize if there's a commercial. And there is. It's so strange how I always get tire commercials, since I always buy tires.
It is a bittersweet night for folks in the small town of Edna,
Oops.
Texas, some 90 miles southwest of Houston. Their high school football team is playing in a semifinal playoff game tonight in Cyprus.
But there will be sadness as the team remembers one of its classmates, a 16-year-old cheerleader, was found murdered at home. Jason Miles spent the day.
I just saw this. I did a live earlier. I just saw this case going through some of my YouTube stuff, and I just saw this. This happened on the 5th, so a few days ago. They haven't said any cause, but I'm assuming, and they're assuming that it's probably a homicide.
In Edna and has more from the victim's mother. Jason.
Edna is a town that comes together to root on the hometown team or comfort someone in need. In this case, it's both at the same time. Cheerleaders and locals alike lined Main Street this afternoon to send off the Edna High School Cowboys to Cyprus for a semifinal football game.
Hopefully to bring home that trophy.
Many will wear purple along with blue in memory of 16-year-old Lisbeth Medina, a cheerleader who won't be making the trip.
She wanted so much to go to that game.
Mother Jacqueline Medina,
It still feels like a nightmare.
tells me she found her daughter Tuesday.
Yeah, it's just sad. It's just awful sad.
In a bathtub inside their unit at the Cottonwood Apartments. The victim, police say, of a capital murder, although the exact cause of death has yet to be released.
I'm lost for words. I don't know where to begin. I just know a mother should never go through what I went through and how I seen my baby.
Medina says her only child, known to family and friends as Lizzo, was a funny girl with a great heart, focused like many in recent days on high school football.
She said, "We're going to get to the finals this year, Mom." And I said, wow, she was happy.
Now there's a cloud over this small town, even as there's also something to celebrate.
I won't have peace within my heart or my mind until those people or whoever did it is put away.
The Edna Police Department contacted the Texas Rangers to assist with, again, what they consider a capital murder investigation. The Rangers do not comment on pending matters. Anyone with information should call Edna Police. Reporting from Jackson County, Jason Miles, KHOU 11 News.
Okay, so they did. Okay, so hold on a second. Stop sharing that. Okay, so I think they do have a suspect. So hold on a second. Okay, so let me share this here. Hey, Southern Gal. How are you? Yes, I'm always up this early. All right, so let's play this here.
In her small town. When her mom goes home to check on her, she finds a horrific crime scene instead. We're speaking with Matt Hinson, the attorney for a family that experienced a very similar situation to talk about the Medina case, as well.
Is it 4 o'clock? Are you at 4 o'clock? Hey Dave, wow, you're up early. It's almost 4 a.m. my time. Yeah, it's almost 5 here. Yeah, the storms are going to be bad for sure. So let's go here. So I think they do have a suspect in custody here.
As well as the positive impact they're trying to make in the wake of such a massive tragedy. Welcome to Sidebar, presented by Law and Crime. I'm Jesse Weber. Now, this story of a young cheerleader found dead under suspicious circumstances, it might sound unfortunately familiar to you, because the investigation into the death of...
Yeah, it's unbelievable fighting for the girls. Huge power, yeah. Let me go back to this here.
16-year-old Lisbeth Medina in Edna, Texas, has some, again, stark similarities to the Tristan Bailey case. You might remember this one. Tristan was a 13-year-old high school cheerleader from St. Johns County, Florida, who was murdered by her then 14-year-old classmate Aiden Fucci in 2021. Fucci ended up changing his plea to guilty earlier this year. He was charged as an adult, and he was sentenced to life in prison. There appears to be no real motive other than Fucci just wanted to kill someone. All right, so with that in mind, I want to bring on a special guest. I want to bring on Matt Hinson, who is the attorney for the Bailey family and president of the Tristan Bailey Foundation. Matt Hinson, thanks so much for coming here on Sidebar. We really do appreciate it.
Thank you for having us.
I just want your overall reaction to start, because you have another case of another young cheerleader seemingly killed in the prime of her life. What was your immediate reaction to seeing this news?
That's just gut-wrenching. It's gut-wrenching for the family, for her mother, and not just for the immediate family. It's the community around her that is going to be heavily impacted. And we saw that here in St. John's, Florida, where you've got a lot of other 16 and 15 and 17-year-olds that are in classes with her that are immediately losing their innocence. And it's a heavy community impact. So we feel so devastated for that community there, much less her mother, which words can't express, the condolences there.
Yeah, sometimes we don't think about it, the impact not only on the immediate family, but the community at large. This shocks, the conscience, and we still don't know so much about this. We actually tried to get Forrest.
So let me pause that one. I'll get back to that in a couple of seconds, but I'm going to go stop screen here. Give me 2 seconds here. I'm going to put this.
Crime is rare on the corner of Roanoke and Charleston in Garland.
We've never had an incident like that before.
In her nearly 5 decades watching over both streets,
I think it's sad,
Marianne Child says this is a first.
I heard shots, but I didn't recognize it as what it was.
Around 6 o'clock Wednesday night,
they came down that alley across the street.
Police say a 15-year-old boy was found shot.
It was close to the end of that alley, I think, near this side street.
It appeared at the time that he had been shot multiple times.
Okay, so this is something different.
Russell D'Angelo Jefferson, a student at South Garland High School, was killed.
It's very unfortunate. It's disheartening.
Less than a day later, a suspect is in jail. Police say 18-year-old Cesar Rocha from Dallas is charged with murder.
It's difficult to understand sometimes what may lead a young person to do something like this. And there's.
So that's something different. I don't know what that's about, but I'll go back to this here. Do you know anything about this case, Southern Gal? So apparently they haven't found the suspect. That was another case. I don't know what that was from. So
Bailey on Tristan's father. Unfortunately, there were some scheduling issues, but the Bailey family, when they heard the news of this case, what's their reaction to it?
Obviously devastated for the same reasons I just mentioned, but I think they're also, the immediate response I think that I got was, poor mom. And they know what that mother's going through. they've dealt with that obviously as a family, and in this particular case, I think their biggest thought and concern was about her family and what they're going through, what they're going to go through very early on in the process. But family and the community is.
Yeah, I don't think they got a suspect anymore. I was wrong. I'm always up this time. I work nights, Southern Gal, so yes, Mr. Steve knows that I'm usually up early. He's up early too. He's a night owl himself. Um, let me go back to this here.
It's at the top of their mind.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but as I recall, it wasn't a situation where when Tristan died and clearly when Elizabeth died, the answers
it just sucks
are right
when this
there.
happens.
They got an arrest in an hour. I mean, it's that uncertainty too of what exactly happened and why it happened that I think is probably one of the most difficult parts, right?
Right, and there's two kind of competing powers here. One is the power of the public to know what's going on. They want to know what happened. They want to feel safe, and they want to feel as though there's some sense of justice and some sense of closure. There's the other competing interest, which is the law enforcement interest, and that's one of the things that the Tristan Bailey Foundation. One of our 4 pillars is victim advocacy, and part of victim advocacy is understanding that we have to work with law enforcement and prosecutors to ensure the integrity of their investigations. So a lot of times in situations like this, for instance, not a lot of information.
Can you blame him? I mean, if I was a retired police officer, I'd probably never sleep either. But no, Steve is Mr. Steve and Mrs. Steve. They're absolutely wonderful people.
Information out there in the public, but that's largely likely because of a law enforcement need to keep that investigative process kind of closed off, so that if there is a confession, if there is or if there are multiple suspects, whatever the situation is, they're going to have the ability to have that information to use for whether it's interview purposes or interrogation purposes, so that it's not out in the public.
All right, we want to thank Morgan & Morgan for sponsoring this video. I think it's pretty clear from the stories that we cover that it is not always safe out there. When you're
Oh my
hurt,
God, shut
it
up.
can be pretty confusing. It can be scary, and you really don't know where to turn. 8 clicks. They also have 4,000 supports. It's murder with an extra factor. It's either it was committed during the commission of another felony, like, a burglary or robbery. There are other kind of circumstances that don't apply here, like if it was the killing of a police officer. But, the fact that they come forward with it, they say this is a capital murder case before any of us really know, what happened to Lisbeth. Does that seem, is that surprising to you?
I wouldn't say it's surprising. It probably gives us some clues as the public that they knew immediately that it was not anything like a suicide. They knew that it was not.
So if they're treating this like a capital case, then it's obviously a homicide case. They just haven't come out with any details yet.
Not going to be an accidental death. It probably says that what that poor mother saw was likely heinous and not something that any of us would ever want to see from another human being, much less their child.
What a beautiful girl, though. My God.
And it gives
this sucks.
Just a little bit of clue about what's moving forward, and you take that into perspective with what the mother has already said publicly about what she saw and how horrible it was. It's my anticipation.
Yeah, so this happened, hold on a second. This happened, I think, Wednesday, the 5th. When was the 5th? I did a live earlier, but I saw this come up on my YouTube crap, and I wanted to get it out there that they're looking for this guy. Hold on a second. It's basically my life. I need to get these things out as soon as possible because, if anybody knows anything. So when was this done? This was done. Hold on a second. So she was found unalived in her bathtub. This was published on December 8th. So I don't know. They're not giving me a day here, but I'm pretty sure it was the 5th. I'm going to actually, hold on a second. I'm going to copy this and put this in here. So I just put the Edna Police Department in there. So I'll go with this, and then
and in my guess that we'll learn more in the future that it was probably
and it kind of gives you a little bit of the why. Maybe not the total why, but it kind of gives you a little bit more context about they know more of the circumstances of this killing than they're sharing with us, but they have enough at this point to maybe go in a certain direction. That's the way I see it. It kind of gives me a good feeling about it. I wanted to ask you about Lisbeth's mother, and Jack.
Yeah, so it was Tuesday, December 5th, and I guess she was supposed to be going to a big parade for the football team because they were going to be playing a game or something like that, and she didn't show up. So her mother went home, and her mother found her in the bathtub unalive. So that was on Tuesday, December 5th at about 7 o'clock. So, all right, so let's go back to this here.
Jacqueline, regarding this, should she seek a lawyer at this point in time?
There's a lot I don't know, so that's hard to say. It's my role with representing the Bailey family was to assist them with the media. While I'm a lawyer and I have obviously legal insight to things, I would say she probably wants someone to help deal with the media because it is going to likely get overwhelming, whether it's local media or national media, such as your broadcast, that it will not be hurtful to have someone to help her deal with that influx of questions and when to answer, when not, and how to best cooperate with law enforcement. Because there's probably things that she would like to say, but if she says them, it could potentially harm the case and the investigative process of it. And that's something that we all have to deal with anytime in these scenarios is the desire to give information, but the need to withhold it to protect the integrity of any investigation or prosecutorial process.
And correct me if I'm wrong, did you also act as maybe a liaison between the family and law enforcement? Is that a role that a lawyer could help serve for her in this case? Is that a role that you played during the Tristan Bailey case?
It is. And I acted as a liaison between law enforcement, between the prosecutor's office in St. Johns County, which I can't say enough about how amazing they were in that process and communicating with the family and communicating with me. But that's useful, having that liaison so that one of the most important things about
what is your channel, Southern Gal?
these situations for the victims. And when I say the victims, I don't just mean the poor young lady that was murdered, but the mother is also a victim in this scenario, and as well as the community. They need to take the time to be able to focus on themselves and grieve. And while we as a public have a need for information and that desire for it, we need to respect the privacy of these families when they go through this horrible situation. And there's little things, and this is part of what our foundation is about, in the victim advocacy part, is little things that can trigger emotional responses that the media may not be aware of. For instance, in the Tristan Bailey case, anytime that her photo was shown side by side with the defendant, that hurt them. They didn't like to see her photo side by side with them. So those are things that maybe the media doesn't think about, the emotional triggers that can happen. And that helped. I think I was able to help play a role in communicating with both the media and the prosecutors to deal with those scenarios.
The Tristan Bailey Foundation, is this the kind of case that you would
Awesome.
look into and try to help Lisbeth's family navigate through?
This is how dumb I am. I couldn't even find that. Thank you, Charlotte. That's what I've been trying to do. Is trying to find your so I could post it in here. Sorry, but Charlotte got it. Thank you, Charlotte. Charlotte's awesome. All right.
Absolutely. And one of the key, and we've had fundraisers and we've been very public here locally and some on national scale, is victim advocacy. And if there's a victim out there that we can provide any type of guidance or direction from.
Thank you, Charlotte. Thank you so much. I would have been here all day trying to find it.
The foundation will be more than glad to assist where we can.
So just a little history about tonight. I was earlier. So, thank you, Charlotte. I was just about to go live tonight about 12:30, and I was bringing my coffee, my iced coffee, over here to the computer, and I spilt it everywhere. It literally went everywhere. It's amazing how one cup of coffee can hold that much liquid in it. But that's why I was so late earlier. It was at 12:45 because I was picking up sticky coffee everywhere. But we got through it. We got.
What would you advise, Jacqueline, at this point? What would you advise? I mean, what did you say to the family, Tristan Bailey, when this first happened? What should she be thinking about? Right, it's just so fresh. It's just after she discovered the body of her daughter. What would you advise her at this point on
the Waffle House? Like, if you we got to get Charlotte to a Waffle House. If you've never been to a Waffle House, it's just not. I bring my own chair now. Like, when I go to a Waffle House, I'll bring my own chair, and there should be like an admittance fee in a Waffle House.
I don't even know what to say or think moving forward as this case progresses.
Right. I don't have enough information to advise her legally, but
especially like a late night Waffle House, like after 11, 12 o'clock. It's complete madness.
Right.
As a human being, as a person, as a human being, as somebody who's been through a case like this, I would advise her to put herself number one, put herself and her family number one, and their long-term and short-term goals, because there are going to be short-term goals of just trying to get through day to day. And there's going to be short-term goals of making sure that a suspect is caught and prosecuted.
Think of it like an old Irish bar in England. That's pretty much what you got.
And then there's the long-term goals of the prosecution, but also the healing. And as a human being, I would say you don't have to say yes to any interview. You don't have to say no, but work with the prosecutors and make sure that you're getting help for yourself, professional help. I think professional help is very important for survivors in situations like this.
By the way, how is the Bailey family doing right now?
I would say they're doing as well as can be expected. You know, the case is, the criminal side of that is over.
What the? I have no idea what's going on here.
Defendant, Mr. Fucci, is in jail for life with a 25-year review. The mother had her case for tampering with evidence, and that is over. And so the focus then shifted into the foundation and how we can keep Tristan's bright light shining. And that's really kept them focused on the positive sides of what can happen from these scenarios, as opposed to dwelling on the negative. And they've been as strong a family as anybody I've ever met.
You mentioned it a little bit, but if there should be, and at the time of this recording, there's not, but if someone is arrested or multiple people are arrested, what should Jacqueline Medina be thinking about in terms of?
When you get a chance, Charlotte, just Google search Waffle House or YouTube Waffle House, and you'll figure out what we're saying. I mean, the coffee there is just absolutely horrid, but it's the best coffee ever, if that makes any sense.
Or expect to feel or go through once there's an arrest, and then it moves into the legal arena, because I feel like that changes too. That's a different component.
Yeah. Every state's criminal procedure is different. And so the timing of how that process works out is going to be different state by state, jurisdiction by jurisdiction. But the one thing that will certainly, I would say that she needs to expect is to be patient. The criminal process is not one that is victim-centered generally. The criminal process is centered around the defendant's rights and the defendant's trial, if it goes to a trial. And for her to be patient and understanding, work with the prosecutors. I'm sure there's a great bunch of prosecutors there. Texas has a great history and reputation for making sure that they investigate their crimes and prosecute them. But just trust in the process, be patient, and again, focus on herself, focus on her grieving. At the same time, being willing to say no if she wants to say no.
Yeah, I think that's important. And I think it's important for her to hear that. And I think it's important for people to recognize that as well. It's just a really sad case. And again, we immediately thought of you guys when we saw this story. Does it shock you still that we're seeing a death of such a young person, again, taken in the prime of their life? And this is a capital murder case now, so brutally killed. I mean, it's always.
I don't think they call it a capital murder case if they didn't think this was a homicide, right? I mean, it just doesn't make any sense. Yeah, they have tea there. The tea is actually pretty good if you like tea. You might see things at a Waffle House that you can't unsee. True. That's so sad. It's an American treasure.
Shocking to me, but you having been involved in a case like this where a life is taken at such a young age, does it still shock you that we're seeing this kind of thing?
All right, I'm going to get out of this here, and then I'm going to go to, because they're not even talking about this case. They're talking about another case. Where am I? Right here. Okay. So here's another article about this. This was done on December 8th, 2023. So this was yesterday. And this is from my San Antonio, I think. 16-year-old Texas high school cheerleader found unalive. Police suspect foul play. Her body was found in a bathtub. That's a clue right there, right? I mean, what a beautiful girl. Texas officials and police are investigating possible homicide case. I don't understand why they're saying possible homicide case involving a 16-year-old Texas cheerleader who was found unalive in her apartment on Tuesday, December 5th. She was only 16. It's about an hour and a half away from Houston, west. The Elna Police Department received a call of an unresponsive juvenile. That word unresponsive is weird. At 7 p.m., so it was at night. First responders attempted to save her, so she wasn't unalive when they got there. They tried to save her, however, officials said she was pronounced unalive at the scene. And the police contacted the Texas Department of Public Safety and the Texas Ranger Division to assist in what investigators believe is to be a capital murder. So, I mean, I don't know why they're saying up here, possible homicide. Maybe it's because they haven't gotten any and that's it. Whoops. Okay, let's go here. This was 1 day ago. Let's see if this gives us any more information here. Okay, let me, whoops. Sorry. There'll probably be a commercial here. My computer is just really awful right now. Wow, that took forever to load. I apologize. It's just taking forever to load here.
'Tis the season. Plan for the unexpected.
That's
Use
why.
Spikevax that body. Help stay protected. Deck the halls festive. Always on time. Never miss a gift. Keep the family in mind. Plan ahead for the unexpected. 'Tis the season to get vaccinated. Spikevax
God.
is a vaccine to help.
I'll just pause that until this hideous commercial is over.
Muscle pain, chills, joint pain, and fever.
Oh, this is not even the one. All right, so sorry. Okay, so we'll just read it because apparently there's no more video. So the mother of a 16-year-old Texas girl found alive in an Edna apartment on Tuesday is praying for justice for her only child. So she hadn't seen her all afternoon. I decided to go look for her and kept calling her phone nonstop, and it would take me straight to voicemail. I decided to go look for her and kept calling her. Called a bunch of people and nobody knew anything. It wasn't until I walked into the restroom that I was on the phone with my friend asking him to come help me look for her. And when I saw her foot, and so I opened the curtains and there she was. Oh, that's awful. That's absolutely terrible. Police have not released details about how she died. So. Okay, so I don't know what to tell you. It's just there's very little information about this, but let me go. No, it's obviously very hush hush at the minute. Maybe they haven't gotten any of the coroner stuff back yet. Maybe. Yeah, the bathtub to me seems a little strange, but it's also strange that she was supposed to be going to a parade type thing and didn't show up. That's also weird. But let me let's go here. Yeah, that's gotta suck. So this is these are the apartments here. This is Cottonwood Apartments here, and this is in Edna, Texas. So this is a pretty big place here. Well, they blocked out. That's okay. Where the hell am I? I don't know. Okay, so that's it. So. Let me see if I can find a little bit more. So I'll have to keep following this. This was 1 day ago. Did we just watch this? Obviously. I will definitely keep following this for sure because this is.
As people there terrified. Texas troopers and the Texas Rangers are investigating after teenage cheerleader's mom found her murdered. She was found inside an apartment just before 7 o'clock Tuesday night when she did not show up to the Edna cheer parade.
Once I found her, I realized she was gone. And I called the police at that very moment. Words can't explain what I felt at that moment finding my daughter and the matter that she was.
She just looks like she's in complete shock, right? Like she just looks like she's talking, but like the shock of everything is just imprinted in her mind here.
All I can say is that I hope with all my heart that there is justice for my daughter.
Jacqueline believes Lisbeth's murder might have been the result of a possible break-in a few weeks before this. Her home was broken into. Right now, we do not know, or rather we do know, the case is being investigated as a capital murder. That tells us it indicates another crime was likely committed along with that murder.
Okay. Okay, so that makes sense now. That does make a little bit of sense. That was 1 day ago, Fox Houston. It was 2 days ago, 13 hours ago. We played that one. Played that one.
Well, good evening to you. I'm Caroline Collins. Welcome to the First 15. Tonight, the mother of a murdered 16-year-old from Edna attends a football game where her daughter is honored. Edna is a small town of about 6,000 and is about 100 miles southwest of Houston. The football game is happening at Cy-Fair Stadium. That's where we find Fox 26's Randy Wallace joining us live tonight. Randy.
Yeah, Caroline.
So that's interesting, right? She said something about a break-in a couple weeks before that. So that is strange.
And now, when we talked to Lisbeth Medina's mother, Jackie, she was literally being held up by her sister. Jackie was the one who found her daughter's body in the bathtub in an apartment they shared.
I'm feeling terrible, tore up. I just can't describe the feeling right now.
How can anyone comprehend what the last 2 days have been like for Jackie Medina? She and her daughter Elizabeth moved from Nebraska to Edna a year ago.
She was basically my friend. We grew up together. I had her when I was only 16.
The popular 16-year-old became JV cheerleader in the town of 6,000, which is about 100 miles south of Houston. Jackie says she talked to Elizabeth Tuesday morning and expected to see her that night at a Christmas parade. Elizabeth was a no-show.
No, it was a Christmas parade. Okay, I get it.
Jackie was making phone calls from her home when she says she discovered her daughter's body in the bathtub.
Nobody ever wants to see their child in a bathtub. The way
Oh my God, I just
found
want
her.
to hug this poor woman.
Nobody. The curtains were closed, so I didn't see her. But when I opened those curtains, I just want justice for my baby.
Jackie says she only attended Thursday night's game to see the Edna Cowboys and cheerleaders honor her daughter.
It makes me feel proud and amazed of just seeing how many people loved her.
Jackie says she wants to squash all the swirling rumors. This is what she says she knows for a fact.
Lisbeth knew the person because there was no signs of a forced entry.
Now, although there's been no autopsy results yet, and the police are calling this a capital murder investigation, anyone with information should call Edna Police or the Texas Rangers. Reporting live from Cypress, Randy Wallace, Fox 26 News.
All right. So I don't know what to tell you. I'm gonna keep following this one for sure because I mean it's my life now. I can't get away from it. It's you hear these stories, you just want to do the best you can for these people if you can do anything at all. So I'll do this here and then I'll get out of here. I'm gonna go to since I'm here. Let's go to. This is this case too. This is Lori and Charles Vallow here. So this is another look into this psychotic woman here.
Daybell has lived a very bizarre life, surrounded by multiple marriages and premature deaths. She's been married 5 times. She had 3 children. Now, just 3 of those husbands are alive.
Yeah, the only reason why, the only reason why I sit here and I look at these cases, because you had you had this guy, I think it was California, right? You had the guy that apparently assaulted that 16-year-old out there in California. And they had, I forget the name of the case, but they had a video of him leaving the house, leaving the apartment. Remember that? And they had the Maryland thing where this person's DNA was found in the Maryland case. So you always wonder if this guy here is moving around and unaliving people. I forget the name of that case now, but they haven't caught him either.
And only one child. Her children, JJ and Tylee, were murdered and buried in her fifth husband's backyard. She was convicted of those murders, and prosecutors say she conspired with her fifth husband, Chad, and her brother, Alex Cox. Alex Cox is now dead after an alleged medical episode while on the toilet. Chad is locked up in Idaho, awaiting his trial for the murder of his first wife, Tammy, and Lori's children, JJ and Tylee. Meanwhile, Lori is locked up in Arizona, waiting for her trial for the murder of her fourth husband, Charles, who was JJ's dad and Tylee's stepfather. Tylee's dad is Joseph Ryan, Lori's third husband, who died mysteriously.
Rachel Morin, remember Rachel Morin? She was unalived in Maryland, and I come to find out that he had attempted to do that out in California, and that's how he got his DNA, but they haven't found him yet. So when you hear cases like this here, maybe this guy resurfaced again, because I'm telling you, these people can't stop. They just keep doing it and do it and do it until they get caught.
At home. Before he died,
not saying that's who did this, but you never know.
Joseph was the victim of an attack by Lori's brother, Alex, who is also involved in the murder of Charles. Alex shot him and claimed self-defense. At the time of that shooting, 5 people were there: Charles, Alex, Tylee, JJ, and Lori. And now as Lori gets ready for trial, she is the only one still alive. Tonight, we take a closer look at Lori's relationship with Charles, with Alex, and with God, as we continue our investigation into the Doomsday Cult killings. I'm Vinny Politan. Thank you so much for joining us tonight here on Closing Arguments. Big day in court. Lori Vallow Daybell was in court today.
Yes, that's the one. That's the one I'm talking about. Remember, they had DNA from him out in California that matched at the crime scene. They just didn't have a name. They don't have a name to go by. So he's still out there running around.
We'll get to that in a moment. But yeah, she's strange. She's a strange woman. And if that was the end of the story, it'd be like, okay, people are different. Some people are a little off the wall. Some people have some, different beliefs and live a different type of life.
You would think that there's got to be some video footage somewhere in that complex of around that. Somebody has to have had you would think, just the law of averages, somebody has to have some sort of video footage of people coming and going from that Cottonwood Homes thing.
Going from husband to husband and moving around and doing podcasts and saying, things that some people might believe are kind of crazy, right? That would be one thing if she was just strange. But
and what's really scary is these people don't stop. It would be one thing if they just stopped, but most of these guys, they just, part of their nature just to keep going and unaliving people. So they resurface places, and you never know.
She is a woman surrounded by death. And that's what makes this much different, the story
of Lori Vallow, Lori Daybell, Lori Vallow Daybell, whatever you want to call her. Surrounded by death, just people in her life just die and die prematurely. It's not like, she's got aging parents and grandparents and they pass away, right? That happens. No, everyone dies young. Dies before you would naturally pass away. And I am not one who believes in coincidences. I think anyone somewhere connected to Lori Daybell that dies, you need
I really appreciate you guys coming in early this morning like this.
To investigate that. And that's what's happening. She's been convicted of murders already. The murders of her children and conspiring to murder the wife of her fifth husband. That trial, we covered it here on Closing Arguments. We played for you. You heard the evidence. You heard the testimony. We analyzed it for years going up.
Exactly. And that's the sad part, because you don't know anything about the future, the past, the future, the present. It just sucks. So.
To the trial. And she's a convicted murderer. So we know for sure that a jury found the evidence beyond any and all reasonable doubt that she was connected to.
I think the girl that he accosted out in California was 16 too. Not sure. Might have been.
Those 3 killings. But they're not the only people in her life who have died and died prematurely. And the question tonight is who wasn't murdered, right? You've got Charles Vallow, her 4th husband, who was shot and killed by her brother, but her brother claimed it was self-defense. So was that murder? You've got Alex Cox, who was the person closest to her.
Who wasn't murdered?
Believe even closer than her husband's, who knew everything. And if she had ever been tried, if she was ever going to be tried for the murders, he would be.
Hey, Jocelyn, how are you? Yeah, I didn't know I was going to be on either. I was about ready to go to bed, but I came by that case with the manhunt from Texas that I thought I'd come on and share. So thanks for coming in, Jocelyn. Appreciate it.
The most important witness, or most likely.
One of these days, I'll send out days in advance of when I'm going to be on, but I don't think I'm that talented yet.
Defendant who would flip, right? Who would flip and take a deal and testify and tell the truth about what was really happening. He died mysteriously. He's like sitting on the toilet. Something happened.
There's no other way this is going to get done without coffee. It's just not going to happen. Coffee is a must for this. So I do like this drink coffee thing here. It doesn't happen without coffee. It just don't.
Happens and he dies. Like, what was it? What was it? What happened? And the timing of it. When the body of Tammy Daybell is being exhumed, he mysteriously dies? Yeah, they keep saying it's been investigated and there's no charges and it wasn't a murder. But, like, really? And then her 3rd husband, Joseph Ryan. She was in a custody battle with this guy. This guy was literally attacked with the stun gun by her brother.
Thank you, Southern Gal. I appreciate that. It's very much a learning experience.
The same brother who shot Charles. And yet he somehow mysteriously died. And then all of a sudden the custody battle and all those issues were over. Like, this doesn't happen. Like, think about the people in your life. Nobody has this much death surrounding them. So at a minimum of these 3, she's going to be charged has been charged for the murder of Charles Vallow and is now in Arizona, right? She was serving time in Idaho. They extradited her in the middle of the night, brought her down to Arizona, and today she was arraigned inside the courtroom. Let's take a look.
Ma'am, could you state your full name, please?
Lori Vallow Daybell.
And your date of birth?
6/26/73.
All right, then this is the time set for the not guilty arraignment on each count. We'll start with number 6. As to number 6, ma'am, you are before the court on count 1. We'll enter a not guilty plea on your behalf. Do you waive a reading?
Yes, sir.
And we'll set the matter for your next court hearings or this as follows in this case. The next court hearing will be an initial pretrial conference. That will be on January 18th. It's at 8:15 in the morning before Commissioner Garfinkel.
Well, that helps. At least I got the notifications going out. That's good news. I had no idea. I just sometimes just come on. So chances are, if it's Friday night about 12:30, early Saturday morning 11:30, 12:30, I'm probably here. But thank you, Jocelyn.
The comprehensive pretrial conference will be on February 21. It's at 8:30 in the morning, and that's before Judge Boreski. The final trial management conference will be on March 28. That's also at 8:30 in the morning before Judge Boreski. And then the trial assignment date on this case will be on April 4th. That's at 9 o'clock in the morning, and that's before the master
So she's facing new charges in Arizona.
calendar judge.
So you heard there are a couple of things from that are significant. Number one, she referred to herself as Lori Vallow Daybell.
Charlotte's awesome. Thank you, Charlotte. I didn't even pay her to say that, but she's great. Everybody in here is great. Thank you for coming in. Appreciate it.
Yet when she was in Idaho, she was saying, "Oh, just call me Lori Daybell." Now that she's being charged.
If anybody wants to be a mod, let me know, because I can make you mods. That way you can post your own channels in here or whatever. I don't really. You want to post whatever you want, that's fine. As long as it's not, other stuff.
Charged with the murder of Charles Vallow. Now all of a sudden she wants to bring back that last name. The other thing is her hair, and
So I think she's being arraigned on other charges of unalivings, conspiring in the killing. So they're looking at her for the conspiring of it, the helping with it. This woman's just nuts.
I'm not being catty here. She is still apparently taking the time to do her hair. If you saw the way, this doesn't naturally do those things that it does. And that tells me something else about
Mr. Steve. I'll tell you, Mr. Steve is, I can't talk enough about him. He's just a fantastic guy. He's, you see these YouTube creators and, even some retired law enforcement people, he's in it for the right reason. He just wants answers just like everybody else. He doesn't judge people. He doesn't, he's, fantastic. And, Mrs. Steve is the real hero, but they're both fantastic people. I have utmost respect for them. And I'll make sure that when he's live again, to go in his live chat and tell Mrs. Steve how bad I feel that Georgia lost.
Lori Vallow Daybell is that while she claims to be this very spiritual person, everything's about God, 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 God. There's still a lot of vanity tucked in that woman. A lot of vanity. A ton. And to me, it also is shown, like every time someone...
One of these days, me and Steve are going to meet up at a Waffle House. Absolutely.
Dies, her life gets better. Right? Alex dies, one less witness against us, Chad. He won't be able to testify against us. Joseph Ryan dies. Oh, all right, custody battles all over. Charles dies, I get the insurance money. Oops. She didn't get the insurance money. She didn't get it. But when...
I am probably the single biggest Alabama fan, and I live all the way up here in New England. So it's payback for last year where I had to put up with all of this bullshit of Georgia this, Georgia that, and I kept my mouth shut. But I do feel bad for Florida State because Georgia is literally going to kick their behinds.
JJ and Tylee were gone. She was still getting those checks, still getting that money. Didn't have the responsibility, didn't have the expense. She was free to go to Hawaii, hang out by the pool with Chad with her bag of money. Unbelievable. When her first husband's wife dies, all of a sudden, he's got the insurance money. Every time someone in her circle dies, her life got better. Well, it's not better anymore. She's serving life without the possibility of parole. Okay, so let's get into this relationship of Lori and Charles as we try to.
Did you guys ever hear about the time that Steve almost burned his kitchen up by bringing groceries in? That was classic. That's a classic right there. That I could just imagine Mrs. Steve's face.
Prepare for this upcoming trial in Arizona. Joining me in San Antonio, Texas, Lori Vallow Daybell's cousin and the author of the book, I Walked Through Fire to Get Here. Megan Connor is with us. And in Salt Lake City, Utah, host of the Mormon Stories podcast, Dr. John Dehlin is with us, PhD in psychology. Great to have you both here. Megan, I'll begin with you.
Huge Steeler fan too. I'm just not happy with my team right now. So, yeah, there's a lot of Terry Bradshaw actually lives in Texas. So that's how,
She's your cousin. We appreciate you coming on here today. What are your thoughts about her spirituality versus her vanity? Because this is someone who, she'd enter beauty pageants. I always felt like she was always trying to upgrade who she was married to, someone with more money, more money, more money. I don't know. What are your thoughts?
Yes, it's very obvious to all of us that for Lori, vanity came first. And I think the religiosity was.
I learned a long time ago, never play pool with an English person. You're probably going to lose.
A way for her to enhance her vanity. She was told by Chad Daybell that she was a goddess, and that fell right in line with what she believed about herself.
John, how do you see it?
Could you imagine her face? Can you imagine her face?
That relationship between vanity and her spiritualness, her alleged devotion to our Savior?
Yeah, I think Megan got it right. I think that she used her beauty to manipulate men, to gain power, to gain influence.
You think?
But, I do think there was a real emphasis on also leveraging the church, the LDS church, the prepper community, and a lot of the LDS or the Mormon church beliefs that sort of allowed her, I think, to start deceiving herself.
One of the best stories from Mr. Steve was when he was talking about how his superior told him he didn't want to see his face anymore, so he put him on nights.
But also allowed her to gain status and influence within a broader.
When he told that story on the morning crew, I almost drove off the freaking road laughing. That it was so hilarious.
Community, the Mormon prepper community.
So let's take a look. This is January 31st, 2019. Charles Vallow on body cam footage. He's locked out of his house in Arizona, his house, and has this conversation. It's very revealing about what's going on in this relationship between Lori and Charles.
She's lost her mind. I don't know how else to say it. We're LDS. She thinks she's a resurrected being and a God. And remember the 144,000. Jesus is coming next year.
And two others.
Threatened they murder me, kill me.
She threatened to murder you?
Yes. And she said,
how did she do that?
My bishop right there is in the car. He was on the phone with me today when she said, "I will have you destroyed." Was what she said there.
Okay, that's not a threat to kill you.
Yesterday was a threat to kill me.
Okay. What did she say yesterday?
She said, "You're not Charles. I don't know who you are, what you did with Charles, but I can murder you now with my powers."
Megan, this is so chilling because we know Charles, months later, ends up getting shot and killed. Lori in Arizona now charged as being part of that conspiracy for that murder with her brother. What was your take on their relationship, on Lori and Charles?
By all accounts, Charles adored Lori and treated her very well. I only met Charles one time, but every time that I talked to family members about him and about their relationship, it was clear to me.
I can unalive you now with my magical powers. Can you imagine that?
That he made a lot of sacrifices for her, that he moved to Hawaii for her. He wanted to provide well for her and for her family members. He was always, financially supporting Lori's family members. He was a doting husband. And from what I've heard from, Colby and other people who were under his influence, that he was a great dad, that he cared very much about his kids, and that he was just a good man.
Yeah, John, you think about it, this, stand-up guy, right? They adopt little JJ. He takes in Tylee, obviously, is taking care of her as well. Yet there are threats. Like, he's getting actual threats.
It's just really sad how these things can happen. It's just really absolutely horrible.
But my guess is he doesn't believe that she could actually go through with it.
It's hard to imagine him not seeing the trail of death that sort of preceded her, but I guess it wasn't broadly known. I do think it's important to kind of note some of the things that were said there. She believes that she's one of the chosen, one of the 144,000. Because it's the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, she believes that we're in the end times, and she believes that her feelings are the Holy Ghost telling her what's true. And in the Mormon Church, in chapter 3 of First Nephi, the third chapter at the beginning of the Book of Mormon, it has this story where a prophet kills a man, chops off his head, because he feels like divine messengers are telling him that's what he should be doing. It's not that every Mormon kills everybody every time they hear a feeling, but it is consistent with Mormon teachings and theology that your feelings are the Holy Ghost. And if Lori believed that Charles needed to go, she was just obeying what her feelings told her and her interpretation.
They literally, some of them actually really believe this shit.
That was divine.
Now, I'm going to put up the divorce papers that were filed in February of 2019. So it's about 1 month later. In this, Charles writes, mother, Lori, vacated the marital residence over 2 weeks ago. After leaving the residence, Lori returned while the father, Charles, was on a business trip in Texas and proceeded to clear out the majority of Charles' possessions. Lori canceled Charles' flight home from Texas the day of the flight. Then when he got to Phoenix, Charles went to the parking lot to get his truck to find out that the truck was no longer parked there because Lori had used the spare key to get the truck and remove it from the airport parking lot. Lori called Charles and told him she and JJ were in a hotel for the night. Lori also told Charles that she did not want anything to do with him or the children, and that he could have them because she had a more important mission to carry out. This is so significant, Megan, because if she had just let him have the children, those children would be alive.
Exactly. I see in these documents the classic discard. When Lori was done with you, she wanted to burn everything to the ground. And I experienced that myself, and I see it in this divorce proceeding with Charles. And the narrative that she told the family was Charles was having an affair. I found out about it. He got mad. And so I took his truck. She emptied the business bank account, and she told everybody not to have any contact with Charles. So it was a classic Lori discard.
And what did she do to you, Megan?
Well, when we lived together, she kicked me out of the apartment that we lived in over a dispute over.
She's probably lucky she's alive.
For a boy, basically.
That's just ridiculous, right? All right. Well, if I get any more information on the Elizabeth Medina case, I'll pass it along. I just want to thank everybody for coming in. It's almost 6 o'clock, so I think I've done enough. Just again, I want to thank everybody for coming in. Thank you, Jocelyn. Thank you, Charlotte. Of course, Charlotte's awesome. Thank you, Southern Gal. I'll check your channel out for sure. Go check her out, Southern Gal True Crime. Everybody have a safe weekend. Who else was in here? I think that's it. Nobody else is up right now, I don't think. So if I get more information on that, I'll send it along. But I'm pretty sure there'll be more stuff coming out. They probably just haven't gotten a lot of the toxicology shit back yet. But all right, I'm out of here. Everybody have a great, safe weekend, and we will see you later.
Bye.